Oh, I like sitting down, so we'll do that. There we go. So the last time I was here, I didn't have anything to say when I sat down. I just said something, and it worked out. So I figured this time, as of right now, I have no idea. Oh, she has that. That's what I'm going to say. So I'll just start talking, and we'll see if a narrative happens. Let's keep our fingers crossed. All right. I'm a musician, and my favorite part about going on stage, my favorite part is just before, and like not the build-up leading into that, but like the 2 minutes beforehand, right, when everything is sort of inevitable, right, when there's no backing out of it, right, and what it feels like, for those of you who have been on stage, you know exactly what I'm talking about, performed anyway. For those who don't know, what it feels like is it's exactly in the middle of, or exactly in between of being excited and all that, and absolutely terrified. Absolutely terrified. And when you're a younger performer, what you try and do is like suppress the terror and like embrace the anticipation, and you think that's going to make you better, like you're going to have like this perfect performance. Spoiler, it doesn't do that. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to kind of embrace both halves. And the kind of a admission in the middle of that is, I was a jazz musician, and I had a teacher named Rufus, imagine that, a jazz musician named Rufus, who, when I explained to him before going on stage one day, or one night really, how I felt, he said to me, when I told him it was just right in the middle of like really excited, a little horrified, and he said, "That means you're ready." Oh, there we go. I was clearly not ready for that. That is not at all how I felt when I quit my job a little more than 2 years ago. I was in the middle of a meeting, and I was supposed to say something. I can't remember what I was supposed to say. It would make for a better story, I guess, if I had more context. But instead of saying what I was supposed to say, I said, "I quit." Just like that. Like, not even like in a dramatic, like, "I quit," like in a Sidney Poitier kind of, guess who's coming to dinner kind of. It was just a very, like, "I quit." Very mundane, matter of fact, like, this is the point we're at kind of thing. And then, other things happened, and I just kind of got my stuff and went. I remember driving home and thinking, oh God, if I blow a tire now, I have no more income. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And like, I had money saved and everything, but this was not like a planned thing, and yet it sort of was, right? Months before then, I had been looking into going back to school. I started going to school in 1998. It was my original freshman year, and for a number of reasons, I ended up leaving in 2001. And every year after that became simultaneously the year I was going to go back, and then the year I did not go back. And it happened so many times in a row, it became this sort of fantasy, right? This story that you tell yourself about what you're going to do, so that you can be happy doing what you don't want to do, right? It's a thing that insulates you against like having to face the stark awfulness of your life and realizing that you are really the only one in the way of your own happiness, right? You are the only, happiness is within your arm's reach, and you're the only one stopping you. And so that realization of agency is kind of horrifying, because not only do you get to do what you want, which is the good part, but you also have to kind of reconcile that ability with what you haven't done all this time. And for me, that moment was, I quit. It was at once completely, not surprising, and at the same time, completely unexpected. I knew that it would happen, but I just didn't know when that sort of, when the baby would be born. Like a pregnant woman, I know that it's in there, I just don't know when it's going to, that was what it was for me. And so I left, and like I said, I remember the thoughts on the drive home, and all the kind of tangled up fears that happened in between then. And it was just kind of an advanced version of all the things you tell yourself before you do the thing you really want to do, right? It's all those excuses that stand in your way. And by the way, very reasonable, logical excuses. None of these things are dragging. It's realistic things. I don't have the money for this. I don't have the time. I have to wait until X before Y. All of these very reasonable things that make perfect sense. And every single reasonable adult should do these things, except I didn't, right? If we were to watch ourselves on television, and I think about this often, if we watch ourselves on television, what would we see, right? Would it be the character that we're kind of bored by, or would it be the guy, sort of in a black comedy, African-American comedy? Would it be that guy like that's constantly like sabotaging his own happiness and like is also at the same time complaining about like never being able to get happiness? Like, do we want to be those guys, right? Is that or gals? Is that who we want to be, right? And we think it takes all kinds of courage to like leap past this. We imagine that somehow it takes this extra thrust of will or something else from beyond, from what we have, to go off and just be happy. This is not something extraordinary, right? We're not saying climb Everest. We're saying be happy. We're saying dreams that we have had so long that we have it planned out, that the path is worn out in our mind. None of this is new to us, and yet we never do it. We never do, right? We have every reason not to. And I don't mean every bad reason not to. We have every good reason not to. And I quit. I'd love to say, I had $50,000 saved, so I was kind of sure of it, or I didn't. I had no idea what would happen, but what I knew was it's what I wanted. I couldn't even say that I would be happy, right? Couldn't even say that. It's what I wanted. And you know that thing that like resides inside you, that thing that you hope for? I was speaking to an advisor of mine at school. It was kind of ironic. And she was talking to me about how much she wanted to go and get her master's in fine arts and creative writing and how it was too late. I'm going to say that again. She was talking to a 35-year-old man who was completing his undergrad about how it was too late for, we catch her on now, to get her master's, right. So I went back, and my first semester was horrifying. Imagine being in a room expected to learn things with people who are essentially half your age, who don't remember 9/11, who don't remember almost all, like you're kind of like not only just like, there's not just an age difference, sort of like ability and access, but sort of like culturally you're entirely separate from them. So not only are you alone in terms of like just kind of being separate in that way, but you're alone in that you have no contemporaries around you in the biggest way, right? And even then, right, even after quitting, even after taking what felt like the biggest possible step, I still have to make choices. Am I going to just do this, right, and go out and get my degree and then go home, or am I going to do this, right? Like, as I said to, I think it was my nephew who's sitting right there, actually, there's no way to halfway jump out of a plane. You either, it's all in or not. You can't go back home and say, I put my leg out. Oh, no one cares, right? So I jumped, and I went to South Africa last spring, and was in Cape Town and studied abroad and had a radio show, The American Hour. I'm not kidding at all. And I was on the air 9 hours a week, and also studied South African politics and history, and all the things I ever wanted to do. And ever since I was little and I saw Lethal Weapon 3, don't judge me, was it 4? I wanted to go. So we have one in the audience who knows what I'm talking about. It's true. Book your book. Right. Like a third of you are going to go home, and like eventually, weeks from now, you're going to watch it, and it's going to kick in. That's a sleeper joke. Anyway. So I did all of these things, and it's been horrifying, but like in the best way. Sort of that like, how do you describe that feeling of like being entirely and completely out of your element, and at the same time, like experiencing happiness in a way that is not constructed by Hollywood, but your own happiness, right? It's not this pure, like, kind of naked, clean feeling of something. It's this raw, natural experience of you kind of selecting your own challenge and not only enduring, but persevering, right? That's the happiness of it. It's not the absence of struggle. It's the choice. At least for me, that's what my happiness was. So I saw, I'm in my, and speaking of stages, I'm in my last stage. It's my last semester of UConn, and I saw the theme, and I immediately thought of course, As You Like It. All the roles of stage, all the men and women are merely players. They have the exits and the entrances, and one man in this time plays many parts. And I thought, when I was in 7th grade, I argued with my teacher, Mr. Marshall, over merely. I felt like it was a dismissal of humanity. And now I feel like it's this is something we're not supposed to take seriously. It's not a game, theater's not a game, it's an art, right? And it's something that we get many tries at. So here I am, the last stage, and I'm feeling equal parts horrified and very excited. And if my teacher Rufus were here, he would say, that means I'm ready. Thank you.